Lawrence Sprung, Mitlin financial founder. Thank you for joining us this morning. So usually when people think of financial planning and joy, those usually aren't two phrases that go hand in hand. So clarify what you mean by that.
So I think that joy has to be rooted in your financial planning. There has to be a reason why you are doing what you're doing. And we talk a lot about joy here. And a lot of folks in our profession talk about the money and the financial aspect of things, which are very important, definitely, hands down. But at the same time, it's not really about the money. It's about what you're building that wealth for and what you're going to do with those funds, and hopefully the joy that you're going to derive from them. And one of the things that we hear very often is talk about budgeting, right? And people talk about, oh, well, maybe you shouldn't go get that cup of coffee because if you save those few dollars every day and save it for the next 20 years, you'll have $25,000 more for retirement. And that'd be great. But we also have to think about the joy that we're getting from that money and what we're doing today. And if that's important to you, that cup of coffee, then as long as you plan for it, do it, use it, drink it. I enjoy it. I know I do too.
So for people who are then looking at this and saying, look, I'm inundated with bills, keeping a roof over my head, keeping the kids in order, trying to even have like a minute to sort of get your thoughts together and find the joy. And it can be difficult for some people. So break down what the concrete steps actually look like by combining your joy and your financial goals.
So I think the first thing and why people get overwhelmed is they do not have a plan. They don't have a game plan as far as what their budget looks like, what their situation looks like. So the first thing that they want to do is, in order to create more joy, is get that plan in place. And one of the first things they should do is budget. And it doesn't have to be an overcomplicated process where they're accounting for every dollar in and every dollar out, because that's just going to be more overwhelming. What it should be is look at what income you have coming into the household, what expenses you have at the highest level. Don't try to account for every dollar and cent, and see where your money's going. A lot of times there's some fat in there that you could usually trim, maybe some old subscriptions, maybe some subscriptions that you have that you're not using as much of the services that you can downgrade, but get an idea of what that budgetary process is. And then take a look at where you are today versus where you want to be, and utilize that excess. Hopefully there is excess, and if not, look for excess and utilize those excess funds to help you plan for your future. And by having that plan in place and having those goals and objectives, it will add joy to the process, make it a little bit easier and a little bit more manageable.
So Lawrence, then break down that correlation then between having more joy in your financial planning and actually reaching your financial goals. How does it put you in a better situation than someone who's just focusing on the money?
So there are two things that happen right away, which is, one is if you're finding joy in the process and you're making it a joyful experience, you'll actually do the planning. You'll sit down and do the budget because you're seeing the order that it's bringing in your life and the organization that it's providing. And if you're more joyful and you have an idea of what that money's being used for, whether it's now or in the future, and hopefully there are joyful events that you're saving for and you have goals for, such as maybe you're looking to buy a house, maybe a second home, maybe a new car, maybe sending your kid to college. Those should be joyful experiences. And then as you put that money away for those goals, it's not like you're feeling pain of putting the money away, because you've now attached that joyful experience to what that money and those goals and objectives are. So if you inject the joy into the process, it just makes it easier. It makes it more beneficial. It puts you on a path that you want to plan, and ultimately puts you and works you closer to reaching those goals that you want to reach.
And that does make sense, because even when you think of something like saving for your kids' tuition, when you think of just sort of saving for the sake of saving the money, that's daunting. But when you think of sort of setting your kid up for success and think of it that way, it does make it a more joyful goal to at least try and reach. I appreciate you joining us this morning. Lawrence Sprung, Mitlin financial founder, thank you so much for your time today.